Hello and welcome, it's October, you know what that means, a Halloween themed review. So today I will be looking at Horrid Henry, Missions of Mischief for the DS. How is that related to Halloween, you might ask? Well, the first 5 levels take place during Halloween, sorta. Even though they don't reflect that at all. Why am I even still talking? Just play the intro already. So this game is based on a cartoon I never watched, which was based on a series of books I never read. The game is a platformer, and one of the most important things in a platformer are the controls. And they're not that good. Horrid Henry's jump is kinda awkward, and whenever he lands he doesn't stand still but slides forward a bit, and at first glance it doesn't seem that bad, till you fall off a platform because of it. Henry also has a projectile weapon in the form of this green sticky goo. It's kinda awkward to use, seeing as it kind of moves with a curve, making it harder to judge where it lands. It also doesn't help that it only stuns enemies instead of killing them, with the exception of the levels where your objective is to get rid of a certain enemy. The enemies of this game are not much of a threat on their own. Even if you die, they'll just subtract 30 seconds from the time limit and you spawn back in Henry's room, which really doesn't matter in the early levels. In the later levels, however, the timer is your biggest enemy. See, the game's way of getting harder is not by actual challenge, but by reducing the timer and increasing the amount of items you need to collect to complete the level. There are power-ups to make it easier, but they're not much help. There's one that makes you go faster and be invincible, and one that makes you jump higher. The only problem is that they rarely appear and they only last for a couple of seconds. You also have health, ammo and time pickups, which are more useful, although only the ammo pickups respawn, seeing as you're really gonna need those. The game's graphics aren't very good. While the backgrounds look alright, the character and enemy sprites look horrible and don't match at all. Just look at Henry here, it looks like he's got a beard. And Peter's model doesn't even look finished. And I'm pretty sure that some of the enemies weren't made for this game, but they just reused old models they had lying around, because some of them don't match with the other designs at all. You could argue, well, it's just a DS game. But they also ported this game to the PC and the Wii, and it looked exactly the same. It's actually the exact same game, but they took out the bottom screen. That's how lazy they were. Music is also like shit. It's very basic and repetitive. Apparently it's supposed to be a rendition of the theme song, but it's barely recognizable. It got on my nerves, so I just turned off the music as soon as possible. This game advertises itself as having 40 levels and 8 bonus levels. That's a lie. You see, it only has 2 normal levels and 2 bonus levels. They just reuse it. But sometimes with the normal levels they restrict where you can go. And sometimes you can go past those restrictions with a key you can pick up. Other times you just can't. There are also 4 types of missions. Number 1, collect a certain number of things. And whenever you collect things, it never really makes sense why you're collecting so many of them. For example, Henry wants to get his parents to get mad at Margaret, so he wants to play trumpet CD so his parents think that she played it. They were also too lazy to just create a new icon for these CDs, so the disc icons look exactly like Henry's heavy metal music. And you gotta collect 20 of them, because having just one CD and letting it play on repeat isn't enough. Well, that's a shitty in-game reason. The real reason is they just want to pad out gameplay. You see, the levels aren't cleverly designed, so the items can pretty much be found anywhere. And like I said before, the game only really consists out of 2 levels, making the game incredibly boring, repetitive, really fast. Number 2, destroy a certain number of enemies. This objective is harder than the collecting objective, mainly for the fact that you have to find your ammo. To me this is quite aggravating, because especially in the later levels the ammo will become scarcer, so I'll just have to look in every drawer or just wait for it to respawn, which costs me precious time. The second to last level of Missions of Mischief is even so generous that you have to kill 40 fucking spiders and all the ammo is in one place. So if you run out of ammo you gotta go all the way back to the place to refill, and it's incredibly annoying. Number 3, boss battle against Moody Margaret. The Moody Margaret boss fights are really boring, because you just gotta hit them with the sticky goo When it runs out, you gotta refill. And just like I said about the ammo becoming scarcer, the problem is when you run out of ammo, you gotta refill. But seeing as there are only like 2 or 3 spots where you can get ammo, sometimes you only have like 10 to 15 sticky goo thingies, which at first isn't that bad, but in later levels her health bar gets ridiculously large, but the boss fight remains the same, except for the fact that you have more shit on your screen attacking you. The only reason this boss fight takes a while to complete is because whenever you hit Moody Margaret, she becomes invincible for a while. So you gotta wait until her invincibility runs out, and then you can hit her again, and then you have to repeat that, and then if you run out of ammo, you gotta go back and get more ammo. And every 5th level is a boss fight against Moody Margaret, and almost nothing changes. It's annoying as fuck. Number 4, escorting someone. These levels are probably my most hated levels because you have to escort a person, and whenever that person gets hit, he doesn't run all the way back to the beginning of the level, but he does run all the way back to the beginning of the area you're in, and you have to wait until they're back, which is really annoying. And like I said before, whenever you hit an enemy, it doesn't kill them, it just stuns them. So for example, if you've already run ahead and stunned a couple of enemies, by the time that whoever you're escorting, whether that's Peter or Margaret, comes over, the goo will most likely be gone, and they will get hits. So you have to stay with them at their turtle pace, and it's quite annoying. One thing I thought was also weird was the fact that you have to protect Moody Margaret, and then the level right after you have to fight her. Just kind of counterintuitive and just an odd decision. The bonus levels are at least different. One is very simple where you have to pop the balloons before they reach the house, and the other one is where Henry turns into a giant dinosaur and chases perfect Peter. I'm not making that up, by the way. That's actually in the game. These bonus levels are fine, but there are only 2 of them that they repeat, just like the normal levels, you know? Originally I was going to review every world in this game separately and have it so it sounds like I looped the audio to show just how lazy the game makers were when they were actually making the game, but it's not worth it. So just talk about the ending. You finally defeat Moody Margaret for real this time, and Henry can go to that concert he wanted. But after completing this game, I didn't get the same feeling I got when I completed Tintin in Tibet, where I felt on top of the world. I did it, I beat that game. No, after Horrid Henry I just felt empty, because it's the same boring shit, lazily stitched together. It's like binge watching The Big Bang Theory. There's no satisfaction, there's only pain.